hate blind dates. The restaurant's low hum of conversation, the soft glow of wine glasses catching candlelight, it all feels like a stage I never asked to be on. My friend Lucas swore this was exactly what I needed. A break from the spreadsheets, the office politics, the relentless climb toward a promotion I've been chasing for months. I adjust my tie, scanning the doorway, expecting someone approachable. A woman who doesn't know the corporate Alex, who doesn't care about my quarterly reports or the whispers in the office about who's next in line for manager. Someone ordinary. Then she walks in. Sharp black dress, posture like she owns the place. Hell, she owns every room she walks into. My stomach twists before my brain catches up. Victoria Hale, my CEO. She doesn't falter when her eyes land on me. If anything, there's a flicker of amusement tugging at the corner of her mouth, like she knew this was coming, like she enjoys watching me squirm. Alex Carter, she says smoothly, sliding into the seat across from me. Well, isn't this unexpected? I nearly choke on the glass of water I'd been nursing. Why you're my date? Her smile is a calculated curve, the kind she flashes at investors before dismantling their excuses. Looks like it. I can't breathe. The woman who signs my paycheck, who once questioned me in front of an entire boardroom until I was sweating through my shirt, is now sitting across from me like this is a casual Thursday night. I think about bolting, but she's already ordered a bottle of wine, already set the tempo, already reminding me, without saying a word, that she's the one in control. The rest of the dinner is a blur. I nod, I stammer, I try to laugh at the right moments. She talks about company expansion in vague hints, tests my opinions on leadership and loyalty as though the date itself is an extended interview. Her gaze is sharp, dissecting me, like she's peeling away layers to see what's underneath. By the end of the night, I stumbled out of the restaurant with one thought. I have to survive working under her, and now she knows me more than she should. But that's only the first shock of the week. 2 days later, the office is buzzing. I slip into the shared workstation area, balancing coffee and deadlines, trying not to replay Victoria's knowing smirk in my head. Ethan is usually there, my anchor, my oldest friend, the guy who once biked across town at midnight just to help me finish a high school project. In the corporate jungle, he's supposed to be the one person I can trust. But his desk is empty. His laptop is open. I shouldn't look. I know I shouldn't. But the screen glows with a Slack conversation he didn't bother to close. My eyes land on the words before my better judgment can intervene. Sophia Reed. If we pitch Alex's proposal as our joint initiative, Hale will back us. He's too timid to fight it. Ethan Brooks, he'll get over it. This promotion is ours. Besides, you know how to sell it better than he ever could. My chest goes cold. Our idea. The late nights, the brainstorming sessions, the ridiculous amounts of takeout containers we joked would kill us before stress ever did. He's handing it over. To Sophia. Of all people. Sophia Reed, the polished, ruthless team lead who's been gunning for me since the day she set foot in the company. I can practically hear her laugh in those messages. See the smug gleam in her eyes as she reels Ethan in with her charm. And Ethan who once promised, we're in this together, no matter what. My coffee slips in my hand, spilling down the side of the cup. The sound makes me flinch, but no one looks up. The office hums on, oblivious, while my world fractures in silence. I back away from the desk, heart hammering, the betrayal echoing in my ears. Victoria's eyes from that dinner flash in my memory, sharp, probing, like she was already measuring who I could really count on. And now I know the answer. Not Ethan. Not Sophia. Maybe not anyone. I didn't sleep after finding that Slack chat. The words looped in my head, gnawing at me like rats in the walls. Ethan's name on Sophia's messages, his casual dismissal of me. Like all those years meant nothing. I keep asking myself, when did I stop being his partner and start being his stepping stone? Back in college, it was different. Ethan and I used to sit cross-legged on the floor of his tiny apartment, laptops glowing in the dark, pizza boxes stacked like monuments around us. We'd pitch each other wild ideas for startups, the kind of late-night fantasies only two broke students could believe in. I'll handle the financial models, I'd say, jotting numbers into spreadsheets, while Ethan sketched mock logos on napkins. And I'll sell it to the world, he'd grin, leaning back like he already saw himself on the cover of Forbes. We balanced each other. My caution to his confidence, his fire to my strategy. We were supposed to rise together, two halves of the same ambition. But now, seeing his words to Sophia, "He'll get over it," I realize he doesn't see me as a partner anymore. Just someone to step past. It makes me think of my mom. She was never a CEO, never even close. She worked double shifts at a diner most of my childhood, always smelling faintly of coffee and fryer oil when she hugged me at night. But she had this quiet strength, this conviction that no one could take away your worth if you refused to hand it over. "Don't ever let someone else define your future, Alex," she'd say, tucking me in after long nights. "Even if the whole world underestimates you, you keep proving yourself. Not for them, for you." She didn't live long enough to see me land this job, to watch me climb the corporate ladder rung by rung. But every late night in the office, every report I grind over until my eyes blur, is for her. For the sacrifices she made, for the independence she demanded I build. That's why this betrayal cuts so deep. Not just because Ethan turned his back on me, but because it feels like he spat on the foundation I've been building since I was a kid. I wanted us to succeed together, but I need to succeed for myself, for her. I lean back in my chair, staring at the skyline outside the office windows, the city buzzing with its own ambitions. Somewhere out there, Ethan is probably laughing with Sophia, already plotting their next move. Fine, let him. Because if I've learned anything from my mother, it's this: I can stand alone. And when I finally rise higher than both of them, it won't be because of betrayal. It'll be because I never forgot who I was fighting for. Her. Me. My own damn future. Monday mornings are brutal enough without Victoria Hale sitting at the head of the long mahogany conference table like a judge presiding over execution. The blinds are half open, slicing the room into harsh bands of sunlight and shadow, and the air is thick with the kind of nervous energy that only she can summon. I take my seat halfway down the table, coffee in hand, trying to look collected. But my chest is still heavy with the slack betrayal. Ethan's words burned into the back of my eyes. Across the room, Sophia slips into a chair like she owns it, crisp blazer, effortless smile. Her presence magnetic in that way that makes people lean toward her without realizing it. And Ethan, my Ethan, sits beside her. Close. Too close. Their whispers blend with the hum of the projector until my jaw clenches. Victoria's gaze sweeps the table, sharp enough to cut through every side conversation. When her eyes land on me, I sit straighter, almost involuntarily. That's her power, making grown professionals feel like children waiting to be scolded. "Let's begin," she says. The next 30 minutes are a blur of updates, charts, and buzzwords. Sophia takes every chance to speak, her voice ringing like a polished pitch deck. She commands the room, painting visions of growth and innovation, and Ethan chimes in right on cue, backing her points, building her arguments. Every word they share feels like another stone stacking on my chest. I want to call them out, to spit their stolen ideas back in their faces, but the weight of the room pins me down. If I open my mouth now, it'll sound like desperation, not strategy. Finally, Victoria raises a hand, silencing the room with the smallest gesture. "Carter." My name snaps the air. I clear my throat, forcing my voice steady. "Yes, Ms. Hale?" Her eyes linger on me, unreadable. "You'll be reporting directly to me from now on. Privately. Weekly sessions." The room goes still. A ripple of surprise runs across the table. Sophia tilts her head, masking her irritation with a polite smile. Ethan glances at me, just long enough for me to catch the flicker of something between annoyance and disbelief. My stomach knots. To everyone else, it probably looks like a promotion, a golden spotlight. But I know better. Victoria Hale doesn't give favors. She sets traps. Reporting directly to her feels less like recognition and more like surveillance. Like she's tightening the leash, watching how I'll squirm. "Yes, ma'am," I manage, forcing the words out evenly. She doesn't nod, don't smile, just moves on to the next agenda item like she didn't just flip my entire world upside down. The meeting drags, Sophia dominating again, Ethan bolstering her every word, their synergy nauseating. My contributions barely register, like I'm a ghost in the room. But under the table, my fists clench. Let them shine now. Let them believe they've cornered me, that I'm nothing without their backing. Because I'll prove them wrong. Not with outbursts, not with desperation, but with results, with resilience, with the quiet, relentless drive my mother instilled in me. When I finally speak next, it won't be an echo of Ethan's ambition or Sophia's manipulation. It'll be my own voice, and they'll have no choice but to hear it. The shareholder mixer is less of a party and more of a battlefield dressed in crystal glasses and expensive suits. The hotel ballroom hums with laughter and clinking champagne flutes, but underneath it all is a current of calculation. Everyone here is watching, weighing, deciding who's worth investing in, not just financially but politically. I stand near the edge of the room, adjusting the knot in my tie, rehearsing the words in my head. Tonight's my chance. If I can get the right ears on my proposal, I might salvage my reputation before Ethan and Sophia bury it completely. Across the crowd, I spot them. Sophia glides through the sea of executives in a crimson dress that demands attention. She's magnetic, flashing smiles, shaking hands, her laugh strategically timed to keep people hooked. And right beside her, like the perfect accessory, is Ethan. He's leaning into her orbit, nodding at her points, basking in the light she casts. The bile rises in my throat, but I swallow it down. Not tonight. Tonight I will fight. I seize my opening when a circle of investors gathers near the bar, bored of small talk, eager for something bold. I step in, steady my voice. I've been working on a new analytics model. I begin. One that uses behavioral pattern recognition to predict client retention with over 90% accuracy. It could save us millions in churn management and reposition our firm as the market leader in predictive solutions. A few eyebrows lift. Good. I lean into the momentum, hands moving to emphasize the data points I've memorized. For the first time in weeks, I feel alive, like I'm finally taking back the narrative. But then, like a shadow falling across the room, Sophia slides into the circle. "That's interesting, Alex," she purrs, her voice smooth as silk. Though from what I've seen, those models tend to collapse when scaled. The last company that tried burned out within 6 months. The investors turn to her, hungry for the counterpoint. She delivers it flawlessly, weaving just enough doubt into the air to make my idea look fragile. And of course, Ethan chimes in. "She's right," he says casually, sipping his drink like he isn't stabbing me in the back. "Sophia and I have actually been testing a more sustainable model. It's not as flashy, but it's grounded, reliable, executable." The circle nods. My credibility, years of sweat and spreadsheets, evaporates in seconds. I can feel their eyes sliding off me, their attention drifting to Sophia's polished smile, Ethan's easy charm. The humiliation burns hot in my chest, threatening to choke me. But then I remember my mother's words. Don't let someone else define your future. I take a breath, my voice sharper now, cutting through the noise. That's why I'm running it as a pilot project. I announce, louder than I intended. Heads swivel back to me. Sophia's smile falters just a fraction. Ethan stiffens. I'll lead it independently. I continue, standing taller. On my own time, with my own resources. If it collapses, I'll own the failure. But if it succeeds, I let the pause hang, the room leaning into it. Then you'll see the future of this company starting tonight. The investors exchange intrigued glances. No one laughs. No one dismisses me. For the first time in weeks, I see it. The possibility of winning without Ethan, without Sophia, without anyone else dragging me down. Sophia's eyes flicker, calculating. Ethan avoids my gaze. And I know, in that moment, I've planted a seed they can't ignore. As the mixer drifts on, I step back into the crowd, heart pounding. My hands are trembling, but it isn't fear, it's fire. Let them whisper, let them doubt, because I just declared war. The strategy summit feels like stepping into an arena. Rows of executives fill the auditorium, their tailored suits like armor, their notebooks and tablets gleaming like weapons. At the front, the company's banner hangs in bold blue, a reminder of the empire we're all here to serve, or to fight over. I sit near the middle, my pulse hammering as Ethan and Sophia take their seats 2 rows ahead. Their heads tilt toward each other, whispering, laughing like nothing's at stake, like they haven't stolen from me. I clench my fists under the table. I swore I wouldn't let emotion run me over. But watching them bask in the spotlight while I'm still clawing my way toward credibility, it's unbearable. Victoria Hale steps onto the stage, commanding the room without needing to raise her voice. Today, we chart the next 5 years of this company, she says. Ideas will be challenged, visions tested. Consider this our crucible. Her eyes sweep the room, grazing over me for just a second, long enough to remind me she's watching. Always watching. Sophia goes first. She presents my idea, polished, framed in her own voice, Ethan standing beside her like her right-hand man. She sells it well, of course she does. She has the charm, the poise, the ability to twist numbers into narratives. This predictive model, she says, smiling at the board, will redefine client engagement. With Ethan's structural analysis supporting the rollout, we can minimize risk and ensure long-term profitability. Applause. Nods. The board eats it up like it's gospel. Something inside me snaps. I push back my chair and stand, my voice cutting across the room before I can think twice. That's my idea. The air shifts instantly. Heads turn. Conversations die mid-whisper. Sophia blinks, perfectly composed, but Ethan's jaw tightens. I take a step forward, words spilling hot and fast. That model, that entire framework, you didn't create it. I did. Ethan knows it. We worked on it together, late nights, long hours. And now you're parading it as your own. Gasps ripple. All eyes lock on me. Ethan finally turns, his face a mask of irritation. Alex, don't do this. His voice is smooth, patronizing, pitched to make me look like the irrational one. You're overreacting. We all toss around ideas. This isn't about ownership. It's about execution. I feel heat rising in my cheeks. Execution? You stole the foundation. You left me out. Sophia's lips curve, the faintest trace of a smirk. Alex, maybe you just misremember. Collaboration blurs lines sometimes. We're all on the same team, aren't we? The subtle mockery in her tone makes my stomach churn. Before I can retort, Victoria's voice slices through the tension. Enough! The room goes dead quiet. She steps down from the stage, heels clicking like gavel strikes, and fixes me with a stare that freezes me in place. Carter, you've made a public accusation. You will defend it, here now before this board. My throat dries instantly. Every instinct screams to shrink back, to retreat into silence. But I can't. Not now. Not after everything. I straighten, forcing my voice steady. The model Sophia is presenting is built on the framework I designed. I have timestamps, drafts, emails outlining the development. Ethan and I worked on it together. And then, suddenly, he shifts his allegiance, and Sophia presents it as theirs. I'm not here to play politics. I'm here to claim what I built. The board murmurs, whispers carrying like sparks in dry grass. Victoria studies me, her expression unreadable. And if you can prove this? I can. My voice doesn't shake. For once, it carries like steel. And I will. Her gaze flicks to Ethan, then Sophia. Neither speaks. She lets the silence hang until it crushes the air out of the room. Then she nods slowly, almost imperceptibly. Very well. Carter will bring his evidence forward. Until then, consider this matter unresolved. She returns to the stage, resuming her composure as though nothing just detonated. But the damage is done. The board saw me fight. They saw Ethan flinch. They saw Sophia caught off guard. I sink back into my chair, heart pounding, skin prickling with adrenaline. It isn't victory, not yet, but it's the first shot fired in a war I refuse to lose. And for the first time, I see Ethan not as my friend, but as my rival. The office is silent after hours, the kind of silence that makes the hum of the air vents sound like thunder. Most people have long gone home, their laughter and chatter replaced by the still glow of monitors left on standby. I'm still here, half out of duty, half because I don't know what else to do with the anger simmering inside me. That's when I hear the knock. I glance up to see Ethan leaning against the doorframe of the empty conference room I've claimed as my bunker for the night. He looks almost the same as he did when we were kids, messy hair, tired eyes, the same crooked grin he used to wear after we pulled all-nighters. Except now it feels hollow. Hey, he says softly, like we're still brothers in arms. Got a minute? I don't answer. Just lean back in my chair, waiting. He steps in, hands in his pockets. Look, I know you're pissed, and maybe you should be, but you've got to understand this isn't personal. It's just business. The words hit harder than I expected. Just business. Like stealing years of my work, our shared dreams, the trust we built. That's something you can file away under strategy. I let out a dry laugh. Just business, huh? That's what you call selling me out. He flinches but pushes on. Alex, Sophia's sharp. She knows how to play this game. She's got the charisma to sell the ideas, and He trails off, searching for the right words. I wanted to be on the winning side. I figured you'd get it. My hands curl into fists under the table. The winning side? We were supposed to be the winning side. Together. That's what we promised, remember? His eyes flicker, guilt breaking through the veneer for a split second. Then it's gone. Things change, man. This is how you climb in this world. You've got the brains, but if you can't sell it, someone else will. I didn't want to get left behind. There it is. The truth, stripped bare. Ambition over loyalty. I shake my head, feeling something inside me crack for good. You didn't just stab me in the back, Ethan. You erased me. And you did it with a smile. He looks away, jaw tight. I'm sorry, all right? I didn't mean for it to feel like that. But he did. He had to know it would. And still, he chose her. I stand, my voice low, steady. Save your apologies. You made your choice. Now live with it. The silence between us feels colder than any winter night. He lingers for a moment, like he wants to say more, but then he turns and walks out, his footsteps fading into the emptiness of the office. I think I'm alone again until my phone buzzes. Victoria Hale, my office. Now, the message sends a chill down my spine. It's not a request. It's a summons. When I step into her office, the city sprawls beneath her floor-to-ceiling windows, 1,000 lights blinking like stars in steel towers. She stands with her back to me, glass of wine in hand, the picture of composed dominance. Carter, she says without turning. That was quite a spectacle at the summit. I didn't plan it to be one, I reply carefully. Good. She finally faces me, her gaze sharp, unrelenting. Because I don't tolerate theatrics, but I do tolerate conviction. I shift under her stare, unsure if this is praise or warning. With all due respect, ma'am, they stole from me. I couldn't stay silent. Her lips curve just faintly. And you shouldn't have. Silence is complicity. Still, she steps closer, setting her glass down on the desk. You let emotion dictate the stage. That's a weakness. Learn to weaponize it, and maybe you'll be worth my time. I swallow hard. Every word feels like both a lesson and a threat. She circles me as if measuring me like an asset, not a person. You'll keep reporting to me privately. I want to see whether you're capable of breaking free from their shadow, or if you're just another pawn waiting to be outmaneuvered. Her nearness is suffocating. Part of me bristles at her control. The other part, God help me, feels a pull, a magnetic force that blurs the line between fear and fascination. Yes, ma'am, I managed. Her eyes linger on me a moment longer, dark and unreadable, before she turns back to the window. You may go. I leave with my heart pounding, not sure if I've just been warned, tested, or drawn deeper into something I won't be able to escape. Either way, one truth burns clear in my mind. Ethan chose ambition over loyalty, and I'll make sure he regrets it. The first thing I do every morning, before coffee, before emails, before the grind, check LinkedIn. Stupid, I know. A dopamine hit of connection requests, endorsements, the occasional message from an old classmate trying to circle back, now that I'm moving up in the world. But today it feels like a punch in the gut. Sophia Reed with Ethan Brooks. Thrilled to announce the launch of our company's new innovation task force, where we'll be pioneering predictive client analytics to revolutionize engagement and retention strategies. The post is glossy, polished with headshots and buzzwords, already racking up likes from executives and competitors alike. And right there, in bold, is the skeleton of my model. My numbers, my framework, my late nights bent over glowing spreadsheets while Ethan tossed me ideas like sparks into kindling. My chest tightens as I scroll through the comments. Brilliant leadership, Sophia. Ethan, you two are the future of the firm. Can't wait to see what your task force accomplishes. Each one feels like salt ground into an open wound. I can almost hear Sophia's laugh as she typed the caption, the way she would have leaned over Ethan's shoulder, guiding the words to perfection. I picture Ethan grinning, letting her take center stage, content to be the faithful lieutenant who reaps the rewards. And me? I'm invisible, the architect erased from his own blueprint. For a moment, I consider replying, dropping the receipts, the drafts, the timestamps, the emails, calling them out publicly for the frauds they are. My fingers hover over the keyboard, my pulse racing. But then I stopped. That's what they'd expect. A desperate outburst. A flash of anger that makes me look like the bitter one, the one who couldn't keep up. No. If I've learned anything from Victoria, it's that emotion is a weapon, but only if you know when to unsheath it. I close the post and sit back in my chair, the humiliation burning hotter than ever. But under it, something else takes root. Resolve. If they want to plaster my ideas across LinkedIn, fine. Let them. Because when my pilot project launches, when I show results that outshine their smoke and mirrors, the truth will be undeniable. They think they've buried me, but all they've done is give me a reason to rise higher than I ever thought possible. The city skyline stares back at me through the office window, lights flickering like 1,000 silent witnesses. I can almost hear my mother's voice. Don't let someone else define your future. I whisper it to myself now, a promise. You won't erase me. Not this time. Not ever. And with that, I dive back into my work, alone, but for the first time truly free. I don't tell anyone when I apply. Not Ethan, not the team, not even Lucas down in analytics, who usually gets my half-formed rants at the end of the day. The application sits like a loaded gun in my inbox for a week before I finally hit submit. Executive Mentorship Program, invite only. Except for this cycle, there was an open consideration slot, a quiet line at the bottom of the memo most people skimmed over. I didn't skim, and now here I am. Accepted. No fanfare, no announcement, just a curt message stamped with Victoria Hale's initials. Report to my office, 7 p.m. sharp. Confidential. Her office feels different after hours. No buzzing phones, no chatter in the hallways. Just silence, punctuated by the distant hum of the city through the glass walls. Victoria sits at her desk, perfectly still, her expression unreadable. Not the CEO commanding an audience, not the stranger across a blind date table. Tonight she's something in between, too close, too sharp. You've been busy, Carter, she says, without looking up from the file in her hands. Your application was intriguing. I swallow. My palms are damp, but I force my voice steady. I didn't think I'd be chosen. Most people don't. She finally lifts her gaze, pinning me like a specimen. But you weren't most people, were you? You've been maneuvering in the shadows, building something behind everyone's backs. I tense, unsure if she's impressed or about to cut me in half. This pilot project of yours, this obsession with innovation. Tell me, she leans back, eyes narrowing. Are you chasing growth, or are you chasing revenge? Her words slice clean through me. I want to say growth, to sound noble, principled, above it all. But the image of Ethan's name plastered next to Sophia's on that LinkedIn post flashes in my mind, and the heat in my chest betrays me. My throat tightens. Maybe both. Her eyebrow arches. That's dangerous. Revenge is a poor motivator. It burns fast, blinds you. Growth, however. She pauses, her tone sharpening. Growth will outlast everyone who tried to bury you. I force myself to meet her gaze. Then teach me how to choose growth. For the first time, her expression shifts, something like approval, but restrained, as if she doesn't dare let it linger. Very well, she says, standing. But understand this, mentorship under me is not a shield. It's a crucible. If you crack, you won't just fail. You'll be exposed. Her words hang heavy in the air. And yet, beneath the weight of her warning, something sparks in me. A flicker of freedom. For once, my path isn't tied to Ethan or Sophia or anyone else. It's mine. As I leave her office that night, I don't feel like the analyst is scrambling to be seen. I feel like someone on the edge of becoming something more. And if that means burning away what's left of the old me in the process, so be it. The first few weeks of the mentorship are brutal. Victoria doesn't coddle. She throws me into boardroom simulations, forces me to argue strategy with directors twice my age, and dismantles my half-baked pitches until they're nothing but dust. And yet, somewhere in the rubble, I start finding my voice. I remember the first night she dragged me into a networking dinner with investors. I walked in like a fraud, fumbling over names, choking on my water glass. But then something shifted. Maybe it was the way one of the investors leaned in when I spoke about the pilot project. Maybe it was the realization that I didn't need Ethan at my side to validate my ideas. By the end of the night, people remembered me. Not Victoria's shadow, not the analyst in the corner me. On the subway ride home, I scroll through LinkedIn. Sophia and Ethan, smiling side by side, polished and perfect, announcing their innovation task force, had been chosen to present at an industry expo. Hundreds of likes, comments dripping with praise. On the surface, they look untouchable. But I know Ethan's smile. It's the one he wears when he's bluffing at poker, trying to hide that his hand is garbage. And Sophia's words read like a press release, not a pulse. For a moment, the bitterness flares. That should have been me. But then I glanced at the photo snapped earlier that evening. Me in conversation with an investor whose handshake nearly crushed my bones. Victoria just a silhouette in the background. My eyes look different in that picture. Sharper. Alive. It hits me. Ethan and Sophia are chasing the appearance of success. Likes, applause, shallow milestones. And me? I'm building the foundation of something that might actually last. At night, when the city glows like an endless circuit board outside my apartment window, I hear my mother's voice again. Independence is strength, Alex. Don't let anyone own your dream. I used to think strength meant clinging tighter to Ethan, to the partnership we promised ourselves as kids. But now, strength is learning how to walk without him. For the first time in months, I don't feel like I'm chasing shadows. I feel like I'm stepping into the light. The gala is a blur of tuxedos, champagne flutes, and polite laughter. Chandeliers scatter light across the room like broken glass, and I feel out of place in the rented suit that fits just a shade too tightly across the shoulders. Victoria glides through the crowd as if she owns not just the company, but the air itself. I trail a few steps behind, clutching my drink like it's a lifeline. I'm halfway through a conversation with a venture capitalist when I feel it, the sudden weight of eyes on me. I turn and there he is, Ethan. He looks sharper than the last time we spoke. His tie is perfect, his smile rehearsed, his hand already extended before I can even think. For a second, all I see is the boy I used to spend nights with, drafting business ideas on the backs of pizza boxes, swearing we'd never betray each other. Alex, he says like nothing ever happened, like he didn't sell me out. Didn't expect to see you here. My throat tightens, but I shake his hand. His grip is firm, familiar. Too familiar. Guess you didn't think I'd still be standing after you gutted me. My voice is low, measured. I'm not giving him a scene. Not here. He laughs it off, that same dismissive chuckle he's perfected over the years. Come on, man. Don't be dramatic. It's business. You know that. I glance past him, and there she is, Sophia, already charming a cluster of executives across the room. She doesn't even look at me. Why would she? She already got what she wanted. Ethan leans closer, his tone softening. We were a team once. I don't want to lose that. We can still find our way back. The words sting, but only because of the echo they carry. Our old promises, our old dreams. But as I stand there, staring at the reflection of us in the mirrored wall, I notice something different. He looks hungry, desperate. He needs me to fold, to forgive, to validate him. And for the first time, I don't need him. I step back, putting distance between us. You already made your choice. Don't pretend it was anything but that. His smile falters, just for a second, before the mask slides back into place. I don't notice Victoria until I feel her presence on my shoulder. She says nothing, but her eyes study me like a hawk, unblinking, measuring every reaction, testing me. I meet her gaze briefly, then turn back to Ethan. My voice is steady, final. I'm done chasing partnerships that were never real. Good luck, Ethan. You'll need it. I walk away before he can respond, the hum of the gala swallowing the silence between us. And for once, the weight I've carried for years feels lighter. Ethan corners me outside the office one night, the sky already deep with evening. His tie is loosened, his eyes ringed with exhaustion, and for once, the arrogance is gone. Alex, he says, breathless, like he's been chasing me. I need to talk. I hesitate, gripping the strap of my laptop bag. Part of me wants to keep walking, to let the weight of his choices drag him down. but curiosity roots me in place. He runs a hand through his hair, shaky. Sophia, she's not who I thought she was. She's been using me, cutting me out of meetings, taking credit for everything. I thought we were partners, but I was just a stepping stone. His voice cracks at the edge. The same Ethan who once swaggered through every boardroom now looks like he's crumbling. For years, I would have rushed to save him, to remind him who we were. Tonight, I feel detached. I breathe slowly before answering. Sounds familiar. His eyes widened, as if the truth just landed. I messed up. You were the one who actually had my back. I should have never. Stop. I hold up a hand. You chose her. You knew what it meant. The silence between us stretches, heavy with everything unsaid. Once, this moment would have torn me apart. Now I just feel tired, because my life has shifted. My days aren't about chasing approval anymore. They're about building something that lasts. Just this week, I stayed late mentoring a group of interns, walking them through presentations, showing them how to stand tall when they feel small. The same way I used to feel in those early days, drowning in the corporate tide. One of them, Maya, had looked at me with wide eyes and said, "Thanks. No one's ever taken the time to explain things like this." That stuck with me. Maybe more than any title or promotion ever could. I look back at Ethan, but the bond that once tethered us is frayed beyond repair. I don't hate you, Ethan, but I don't owe you my loyalty anymore. Not after what you did. He opens his mouth, but no words come out. For the first time, he looks small. When I return upstairs, Victoria is waiting in her office. She gestures for me to sit, her eyes sharp, yet softer than usual. "I heard about the interns," she says, pouring herself a glass of water. "You're investing in people. That's rare here." Her tone isn't quite praise, but it's close. It's an acknowledgement. And coming from her, that means more than applause. I meet her gaze steady. I guess I finally figured out what kind of leader I want to be. Her lips curve just slightly. Approval or maybe a warning. With Victoria, it's hard to tell. But I leave her office with a strange calm. Ethan is unraveling. Sophia's games will catch up with her. And me? I've started building something real. The boardroom feels different now. Not because of the glass walls or the skyline glittering behind them, but because for the first time I'm not just an observer at the table. I belong here. Victoria had pushed me into the mentorship program like a test, and somehow, I've surfaced on the other side with something I didn't expect. Allies. Olivia Grant is one of them. She's sharp in a way that slices through noise, every word measured, every question precise. But she's not cutthroat. She listens. When she looks at me across the polished table, there's no hint of the subtle undermining I'd grown used to from Sophia, no quiet calculation like Ethan's. Instead, there's respect. "Your idea about the modular platform," she says during a breakout session, "it's bold, but it's scalable. I'd like to get it back." I catch myself smiling. Back it. The phrase feels like oxygen after years of swimming against a current. Around us, the room hums with conversation. Young strategists sketching out plans, senior executives trading insights. This is a circle I never thought I'd step into, let alone be accepted by. They don't treat me like a mid-level analyst lucky to be here. They treat me like someone whose voice matters. And as I listen, I realize something quietly profound. I don't think about Ethan anymore. Not in the same way. Once, his presence haunted every step I took, every decision I second-guessed. Now, he feels like a distant figure, a chapter I've already closed. At one point, during a networking break, Olivia nudges me with her coffee cup. "Funny thing about this place," she says, eyes twinkling. "You never survive alone, but you can choose who stands with you." The truth of it settles deep in me. My mother used to say something similar when I was younger, pushing me to rely on myself but also to recognize the strength in building trust with the right people. And here, in this circle, I feel it. Stronger foundations forming, brick by brick, not on loyalty owed or manipulated, but on earned respect and shared ambition. Later that night, as the city lights burn below my apartment window, I scroll past a post from Sophia. Another flashy update, another hollow victory, framed for attention. Ethan's name is tagged, but his comments are terse, almost absent. For the first time, I don't linger on their lives. I close the app and instead draft notes for a collaboration with Olivia. because this is the future I've chosen. Not chasing after the wreckage of what I lost, but building something new, something stronger. And in the quiet, I finally admit it to myself. I don't miss who I used to be. The morning sun filters through the glass walls of the strategy suite, casting sharp lines across the conference table. Olivia sits across from me, her laptop open, fingers poised but waiting. There's a calm confidence about her, like she already knows the answer I'm going to give. This isn't just another assignment, she says, sliding a proposal packet toward me. This is a partnership. The board greenlit the initiative, but they want us to lead it together. The word lands heavier than I expect. Not like a chain, not like obligation. It feels like a possibility, like an open door. I flip through the packet. Modular platforms, scalability charts, projections I once dreamed of pushing through with Ethan. Only this time it's mine, ours. I look up at Olivia. Her expression is steady. No hint of rivalry or hidden knives. Just respect. I'll do it, I hear myself say, though what I really mean is, yes, I'm ready to step forward. Yes, I'm done carrying ghosts. Her grin is quick, sharp, but genuine. Good. Then let's make something that lasts. That night, just as I'm settling into the strange comfort of progress, my phone buzzes. The name flashing across the screen makes my chest tighten. Ethan. Against my better judgment, I answer. Alex. His voice cracks. Rushed. Almost frantic. I messed up. Sophia. She's not who I thought she was. She's been using me. You were right. For a second, I close my eyes. The words I'd wanted to hear months ago finally here, heavy and hollow. I need my friend back, he says. We can still. No. I cut in, my tone sharper than I expected, but steady. We can't. You chose ambition over loyalty. You burned it down, Ethan. And I'm not going back. There's silence, a breath. Then the faint sound of defeat, like air escaping a balloon. Guess that's it then, he mutters before the line goes dead. I set the phone down and let the quiet settle. It hurts, but in a way that feels clean, like cauterizing a wound. No more festering, no more dragging it forward. The next morning, I walk into the executive wing beside Olivia, our steps in rhythm. She glances at me and says simply, ready? For the first time, I truly am. This is my fresh start. Not defined by betrayal, not haunted by what I lost, but shaped by what I'm building. And for the first time in years, I feel lighter. The boardroom is empty now, the echo of the day's debates fading into the stillness of glass and steel. Papers are stacked, screens dimmed, and the skyline beyond the windows glows with the amber fire of dusk. I sat alone at the table, my reflection doubled in the polished surface, one version of me staring back at the other. The man I was months ago wouldn't recognize this version. He was caught between loyalty and fear, shackled by betrayal he didn't see coming. Now I'm free. I traced the arc of it all in my mind. The blind date that jolted my life off course. The sting of Ethan's duplicity. Sophia's ambition cutting like a knife. The late-night summons from Victoria that blurred lines I didn't know existed. Every misstep, every fracture, it brought me here. And it isn't so bad here. The doors creak open behind me, and Victoria steps inside. No entourage. No clipped heels on marble. Just her. Calm. Composed. Carrying that air of authority that once terrified me. She doesn't sit at the head of the table, doesn't tower from across the room. Instead, she lowers herself into the chair beside mine. You handled yourself well today, she says. Her voice is softer than usual, almost approving, almost human. I nod, unsure what to say. Praise from Victoria Hale is rarer than oxygen on Mars. She studies me for a moment, her gaze sharp but not piercing. You're not the same analyst I once saw buried in someone else's shadow. For a second, I feel that old instinct to deflect, to minimize, to shrug it off. But I don't. Thank you. I reply, simple and direct. She smirks, just slightly. Don't thank me. You earned it. Then she rises, as sudden as she arrived, and leaves me with silence again. But this silence is different. It isn't heavy. It's open, full of promise. I lean back, watching the city pulse with lights and motion below. Somewhere out there, Ethan and Sophia are still chasing shortcuts, still clawing for validation that will never last. That's not my world anymore. My world is this building something lasting, something real. Not because of Victoria's approval, not because of Olivia's partnership, and certainly not in spite of Ethan's betrayal. Because of me, because of the lessons my mother instilled: independence, resilience, the grit to carve a place even when the walls close in. The skyline blurs for a moment, but I don't blink away the memory of her. I carry it forward. Tomorrow there will be meetings, deadlines, and the relentless grind. But tonight, for the first time in a long time, I allow myself a rare, quiet smile. The past is behind me, the future mine to claim,